Hi, kindergartners. Today we are going to read the third book in our text set about community, working and living together. So before I show you and talk about the third book, I want to remind you of the first and second books that we read, and I want you to think about something. So we read a book about called Fireman Small, about a fireman named Fireman Small. And we read a book called Lola at the Library, and we talked a bit about librarians. So, both of these books were about community helpers. I want you to think about these two books and think about how realistic they were. So, Fireman Small, it was about a fireman, but was it really realistic? Do you remember the characters in the book? They were bunnies and hippos and other animals, and those animals were acting like people. So this is a fiction book, but not really a very realistic fiction book. Couldn't really happen the way that it happened in the story, even though there are firefighters in real life. Then we read, whoops, upside down, Lola at the Library. And remember, this one is about a little girl and her mom, and they visit the library. And the characters in the book are very realistic people doing very realistic things. So even though this is a fiction book, it's not a true story, it's very realistic. This is something that could really happen. Our third book in this text set is called I Know a Lady. This one, as you might guess by the front cover, is also realistic fiction. Even though it's not a true story, it has people doing things that people really do and animals doing things that animals really do in the story. And they do those same things in real life. So this is a realistic fiction book. And the title is I Know a Lady. Can you find the lady on the front cover? I think this is the lady that the title is talking about. I Know a Lady is by Charlotte Zolotow, and it's illustrated by James Stevenson. And in this story, a girl named Sally is going to tell you about a lady in her neighborhood and all the nice things that the lady does. I Know a Lady by Charlotte Zolotow, illustrated by James Stevenson. I'm going to show you the dedication page. This is dedicated to Margie. I wonder who Margie is. Someone special. On our block, there is a lady who lives alone. Can you think about the people who live on your block or on your street or in your building? The people who live near you? Sally is telling us that on her block, there is a lady who lives alone. She works in her garden and gives us daffodils in the spring and zinnias in the summer. Chrysanthemums in the fall and red hollyberries when the snow falls. She waves to us mornings on our way to school and smiles when we pass her house coming home. So, are you able to tell what kind of person the lady is? What kinds of things does the author tell you with her words? I noticed that the author has told us that the lady gives flowers to the neighbors. She grows them in her garden and shares them. That's a nice thing to do. And the author just told us, and the illustrator is showing us, that the lady waves when the kids are going to school in the morning. And did you hear what she does when the kids are coming home? Charlotte told us that the lady smiles at the children. Charlotte, the author, put that in the words. She invites us in to warm up at her fire at Halloween and gives us candy apples she made herself. And at Christmas, she asks us in to see her tree and gives us cookies sprinkled with red and green dots. At Easter, she makes little cakes with yellow frosting. Sometimes we see her walking alone along the path in the woods behind the houses. She smiles at me and knows my name is Sally. She pats my dog and knows her name is Matilda. She feeds the birds and puts cream out for the old cat who lives across the meadow. So the lady is nice to the children and also nice to the animals. I wonder what she was like when she was a little girl. I wonder if some old lady she knew had a garden and cooked and smiled and patted dogs and fed the cats and knew her name. If I was an old lady and she was a little girl, I would love her a lot, the way I do now. So how does the little girl, Sally, how does she feel about the lady? She just told us at the end that she loves her. That lady is kind in so many ways. So as we finish up this story, I want you to be thinking about the kind people who live near you. And I want you to try to notice the kind things that people do. Maybe one of your neighbors always waves at you when they see you, or maybe they share. Maybe they grow things in their garden and they share them with your family. Or maybe you noticed that someone in your neighborhood has a bird feeder in their yard. So they are taking care of birds and being kind to those birds. Or maybe there's something else that you notice around your neighborhood. I'd like you to pay attention to the kind things that people do in your neighborhood community. And if you can think of one, I would like you to record a video to share with me so I can hear about the kind things that people are doing in your neighborhood. Okay, so share something with me that you noticed that people around you, around where you live, are doing that is especially kind. I can't wait to hear your awesome kindness stories. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the story today, and I'll see you next time.